Welcome back to Dynamon. You might be wondering why my Steady King is using a fire technique attack even though being lightning attribute, but you will eventually understand while watching this video. In this video, we will look at all special soul gems introduced in Yokai Watch 2 while covering their effects and how to craft them. Some of these are actually very useful while not being known by a big part of the fandom. Like and subscribe if you want to see more Yokai Watch content, and we'll start with a quick introduction to soul gems in general. Soulcery was introduced as a new feature in Yokai Watch 2 in the key quest Secrets of Soulcery at the Temple of Virtue in Harrisville by speaking to the Grand Monk. This allows you to turn your yokai into soul gems, which is an exchange for yokai you don't need anymore or those who can be combined into a rare soul gem. Soul gems can be seen as an equipment for your yokai, which can give them buffs or even completely new abilities, while the yokai you performed sorcery on is not available anymore. To make soul gems stronger, you can level them up by fusing them with another one, while tribes have a unity bonus, or you can even trigger a rare combination. Whenever you get a special soul, you will see a question mark on the touchscreen. One of the most known soul gems is the Devourer Soul for Shogunyan, which increases his chance of landing critical attacks. Some yokai you cannot convert into soul gems are Snottle, Maximus N, K, Jibanyan S, Komasan S, Komajiro S, Dark QB, Illuminoct, Gargaros, Okralus, and Orkanos. But now, let's explore the world of special soul gems. The first group of soul gems are the ones tied to elemental attributes. Here we have the Searing Soul, which is created from Flammarize and Blazion and turns your normal attacks into fire attacks. Here it's important to distinguish between physical and elemental attacks, where this and the next bunch of souls only affect the physical side of attacks. The Sodden Soul turns your normal attacks into water attacks and requires Apak and Chama. The Snow Soul causes normal attacks to become ice attacks, and you need Popsicle and Dragon to craft it. The Storm Soul requires Komaiga and Frazzle and turns your normal attacks into lightning ones. The Squall Soul, crafted from Kadable and Abodebat, turns them into wind attacks, and the Sprouting Soul, which requires Mistank and Mr. Sandme, makes normal attacks become earth attacks. They can be helpful against bosses with elemental weaknesses, but are not insanely useful. Our next 6 souls are way more interesting and actually change your elemental attribute, while the respective yokai keeps their elemental strength and weakness. Firstly, we have the Scorching Soul, crafted from Swell Terrier and Tunatic, which changes your technique to Inferno. This also explains why Steady King used a fire attack at the start, and you can do it for every possible element as well, while not counting train or heal abilities. Next, there's the Soaking Soul, changing your attribute to Waterfall, and requires Drizzle and 4 Kappa. We've also got the Sub-Zero Soul, which is crafted from All Hail and Presaria and changes your technique to Blizzard. For the next soul, you need to turn Steady King and Yellow Steady King into souls. It's the Sparking Soul, which changes your technique to Voltage, but if you prefer to be Storm attribute, you can craft the Spin Soul from Tengu and Smogmella. Lastly, there's the Space Dust Soul, created from Cerberus and Eyesore, which changes your technique to Meteor. All of these are very fun to use while best working on Slimermander. A water technique Slimermander, for example, completely counters a fire Slimermander in a battle. Our next category of soul gems are the defensive ones that work best on tanks. Most importantly, we've got the Stinging Soul, which can be crafted from Lidoni and Decibel. It turns the holder into an automatic target for opponents in case they are using single target attacks, which makes this soul extremely useful for yokai like Orkanos or other tanks. If you want your yokai to be guarding, you can give them a Stubborn Soul, crafted from Scarasol and Impasse. This one forces the holding yokai to be guarding at all times and can be helpful on yokai like Scarasol. Similar yet a bit different is the Shielding Soul, requiring Hornaplenty and Robinyan, which makes your yokai guard when moved to the front row. In contrast to the Stubborn Soul, the holder is still able to attack. And if you want to make the guarding of your yokai more effective, you can equip them a Stout Soul, crafted from Hihihil and Krunga. There's also a counterpart of the Stinging Soul, being the Stealth Soul, which is crafted from Dimmy and Plandon, and just like their skill, makes it impossible for enemy yokai to target their holder with single target attacks. Some more useful souls include the Speed Soul, which requires Chimera and Naked Speed. This one gives your yokai one preemptive attack and is best used for stat buffing yokai, such as Sergeant Burley or Dumbcap at the start of a battle. If you don't want to use yokai like Snottle, You can also choose the supernatural soul crafted from einer and können and makes every in-spirit succeed. Very helpful if you want to poke enemy yokai and pairs extremely well with a cruel attitude. If your yokai are loafing too much, you can fix it by using a soldier soul crafted from rhinormus and beetle and forbids any yokai to loaf, so it's the same effect as the skill of Cruncher or Beelzebub. An extremely helpful soul gem to my mind is the Superstar Soul, crafted from Pinky Poo and Cupidor, which increases the chance of befriending yokai. This one has the same effect as the popularity skill, but keep in mind that popularity doesn't stack, so one Superstar Soul has the same value as 6. If you're allergic to technique attacks, try out the Surrender Soul, crafted from Boyclops and Face-Off. It neutralizes all attacks, which means no elemental strength or weakness anymore, and your Steady King doesn't die from one meteor anymore. A very interesting one is the Summoner's Soul, which increases the chance of wisps appearing and can be crafted from pandanoko and erschien, but just use pandanoko at this point. One soul, which is only beneficial when not using a healer, is the Sinister Soul, which requires Namor and Ferdinand, since it reduces the power of healing abilities for all yokai. There's also the Surly Soul, crafted from Snackly and Winona, which makes it more difficult for enemies to purify their yokai, while the Slippery Soul, crafted from Swelton and Mirrorpo, extends the time of rotating the yokai wheel. Finally, we've got the Pierce Soul, which you need Chihuahua and All Fortune for. This one makes the holder always deal elemental damage, just like Chihuahua's skill Penetrate. Now that I showed you all special souls of Yokai Watch 2, tell me which one is your favorite and in which way you use it, so we get some recommendations in the comment section. This was chapter 2 out of 4 of my guide era, so like and subscribe for more Yokai Watch content. I also highly recommend you to watch a minigames video in case you are interested in seeing more.